Góðan daginn, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gunnhildur. What's that? My name is Gunnhildur. I'm an Icelander, live in Iceland, and this is my podcast called The Project Parallel because I have projects and they are in parallels. And I talk mostly about yarn, about knitting, crocheting, what I'm working on, what I finished, and what I want to get started to work on. That I know English, I don't know English, and yeah. I got banned from crocheting last night. That's an opening. So yeah, I was forbidden from continuing to crochet last night because my hands were like this. And I had to go and literally wash them out of ice cold running water just so I could straighten them out again. And then I was forbidden from doing any more crocheting or knitting. Now, how many of you can say that? But yeah. So I've already got started on the second skein of the baby batik in these lovely spring colors. I got the window open because the birds are singing so lovely and I've kind of missed them the past month, so I want to continue listening to them. But yeah, so why was I forbidden from continuing my crochet last night? I did most of this. Look at it. I actually managed to finish that first skein of the baby batik and look how it's coming along. Like, you can probably understand why I was absolutely driven to continue. Because I've got the rhythm down, I got the pattern down, and it's looking so like it's so cool. And I'm generally thinking if is it bad that I'm thinking if I make like some frozen ice and put it in a towel, or at least have it available, or that I should probably just wash my hands more often. But look, it's coming along so nicely. Oh, it looks so cool. And I'm absolutely adoring the color change. These colors, like, this is so spring. I am so happy with it. But yeah, so this absolutely consumed my Friday night, or just Friday. I was supposed to be writing a little bit for my Camp Nano project. I did write a little bit, but not. I did manage my daily goal, but I'm a little bit behind on that. And I mean, I read a lot on Thursday, so I've got most of this book done for a planned video on my other channel with the reading and writing. I'm making an attempt to make a themed video for that one. I want to make a video with just 5 books that kinda center around Iceland, but it's a little bit of goofy. I'm planning a little. I don't know what it's gonna turn out like, but it's a nice challenge to make for myself. Feeling a bit ambivalent about this book. Like, it's not bad. The almost nearly perfect people behind the myth of the Scandinavian utopia. Michael Booth is an Englishman who's been living in Denmark for like quite a while. He has a Danish wife and they have like 2 kids together. And the family lives in Denmark, and he claims that the book is inspired by his shock and surprise finding out that Denmark was topping the happiness scale in some, I can't remember which year it was, because the cheerful Englishman is like, these dowdy grumpy people who don't like the fact that I jaywalk. Oh no, it can't be them. Like I have thoughts about this book. I'm still on the chapter about Finland, and honestly, the only absolute redeeming factor about Michael Booth is that he absolutely adores the Finnish people. I can respect that. I cannot respect the fact that, okay, you see the yellow tab and the green tab, this itty bitty part here, that's Iceland. And I've been trying to figure out at what year he was working on this, and it seems that he got the idea somewhere in 2008 or 2009. He seems to have been in Iceland in like around 2009. This book originally, what does it say? It's copyrighted in 2014, published by Winters in 2015, first published in Great Britain in 2014. So it's probably written or finished, he would probably finish writing it in around 2012-13. Like, I've been trying to track this down because some of these things, like the entire chapter about Iceland, was outdated within a year. It was rather outdated in, honestly, in 2010. That's 11 years ago. There is, for example, no mention of Eyjafjallajökull. Like, you'd thought that that would have garnered a mention, at least in the Iceland chapter. No. So yeah. I know this isn't the channel to be dragging this book, but honestly, the feeling I'm getting from this is that he picked the cheapest weekend to come up here to basically visit Reykjavik, drive around the Golden Circle, visit the Blue Lagoon, and then bugger off again. He probably did not spend more than 3 days here, and that does not warrant an entire chapter. It's just, I'm a little disappointed. I kind of expect a little bit more. I know what I was expecting, like, honestly, there are, just in my town, there are 2 English people who have been living here for like 30-40 years who definitely have more to say than this guy about Iceland. Like, they lived through the economic collapse in, it was 2008, 2009. They lived through it, they live here with their families. Disappointing. Also, the things that he elects to talk about is how cut or the shark. He talks about the bankers because timing. He mentions, what in the world was it? This book annoys me, basically. Yeah, it's the shark, it's the bankers. Denmark gets an embarrassingly short, what, barely 5 pages. Centuries of rule by Denmark, and it grants all of this, and basically it's just to soften the history between Denmark and Iceland, mostly because Denmark doesn't remember the history. The younger Danes apparently, according to him, cannot point to Iceland on a map. You know that big mass of land that you rule and have been ruling for like 200 years, called Greenland and all of that? Yeah, it's the second big landmass underneath that. But then again, they probably can't find the Faroe Islands. They probably cannot point out where Faroe Islands are, and they are in the sea. Like, another thing that annoys me with this is that he calls Greenland and the Faroe Islands pseudo-national. Which annoys me to absolutely no end. Like, just because they're not independent does not mean that they aren't their own nations. They have their own culture, history, stories, language, their own, like, they are nations. And then, to top it off, he has an entire chapter devoted to elves, which, because of course. I don't get why he doesn't talk about ghosts, because ghosts have a way bigger presence in the Icelandic mental landscape. You can find stories of ghosts everywhere around the island. Elves, not as much, but elves, you can sell them. And then he ends up with steam, because he apparently had some quota to fill up. I wasn't gonna bitch about this book, but I picked it up and then there we go. Actually, one point. He bitches. I don't like using those strong words, but he just makes me feel. If you ever go to Iceland, which I really hope some of you do, and you elect to go to Blue Lagoon, the Blue Lagoon is really, really pleasant. It is expensive, but for example, for people with psoriasis and other skin conditions, especially people with psoriasis, the waters of the Blue Lagoon and the silt, the silica, all that, it has such a good effect on the skin condition. And for people I know who suffer from this condition, they, if I understand correctly, there have been like medical assistance or like grants or down payments for people to go to the Blue Lagoon and have literal medical treatments to treat their psoriasis. So that is a huge thing. He makes a point. So he doesn't mention that because he apparently did not do enough research to figure that one out. But he makes a point of bitching about the water only reaching him to mid-thigh, so he crouches and he duck walks his way around the Blue Lagoon, and then he complains about there being a crowd because it's a tourist place. So he goes where there's less people, and would you know it, the reason why there are fewer people on the edges is because the water is really, really hot over there. And he just didn't find it relaxing. Well, I'm not surprised if you're gonna duck walk your way around and then launch yourself right into the hotter waters. Like, if you ever go to Blue Lagoon, do not duck walk. Do not crouch down and then complain that your knees and back are hurting. What you're going to do is you're gonna lay flat, because most of us humans have rather buoyant bodies. The water, like, it isn't like a swimming pool with all the chlorine that makes you more buoyant, but you are more buoyant in water. You're gonna lie down, you're gonna extend your arms, and you're gonna walk along on your fingertips. That is the most relaxing way to get around in the Blue Lagoon. Even a short teenager that I was when I went there managed it. If I'm ranting this much about this book in this video, what in the world I'm gonna say when I actually make that video on the other channel? Dear Lord, he kinda annoys me. Like, but I think, like, I can actually forgive the the tiny bit of chapter on Iceland. At least we get acknowledged as a nation. What really irks me is that he calls Greenland and Faroe Islands pseudo-national. And I can get it. After all, he is an Englishman, an old empiric colony, living in Denmark. Another old empirical colonist. Like, not colonist, sorry. They're colonizers. Both nations. I'm reading too much into this. But that really, really irks me, because the Faroe Islands are their own nation. They are their own people. Denmark may be currently a Danish colony. They are their own people with their own history, with their own place. Same with Greenland. They are their own people with their own culture and their own history and their own language. And no amount of soft washing, the attempts of attempting to soft wash the effects that Denmark has had of their colonies. I mean, sure, there are worse colonizers in the world. He makes a point of pointing out that Sweden was worse when it comes to Finland because they were extremely neglectful. Denmark has a big stain because they were extremely neglectful when it comes to Iceland. And the things that they have done to Greenland, like, at least they're starting to acknowledge it, at least the politicians. But the things that they did to the Greenland people, like, they trying to take another nation's history, language, culture away because you're trying to civilize them. I don't fire it out. This video started so nicely with me gushing about my... Thank God, I thought I lost my point. Gushing about my blanket. Now I'm just firing away at the person who is probably never gonna watch this video. Mainly because I don't think he crochets. So at least it's really good to know that I have strong feelings when it comes to the people who are the closest to my... excuse me. That are the closest to the Icelandic nation. Like, Michael Booth falls into the... Like, I don't want to say a trap, but he falls into this all of referring to the Scandinavian or the Nordic nations as a family, which, you know, you can do, but you cannot ignore the rest of the family. And honestly, if we're gonna think of the Nordic nations as a family, it's a rather dysfunctional family, and we are, everyone here in the north, we are extremely aware of it. But the nations that are the closest to Icelanders are, I mean, mentally, Finland understands, I think Finland understands us the best. Denmark, Norway, Sweden, they don't. And that's because, for example, especially with Denmark and Sweden, they are the ones who are used to being in control. A few years ago, there have been discussions pretty routinely from idealists and dreamers, excuse me, who have a very strange dreams of reviving the Kalmar Union. And one of the reasons that one of the Swedes gave was that, oh, it would be so much nicer for you Icelanders. You were so much more manageable back then. Yeah. I mean, people who have nothing, are starving, and are the poorest in Europe are very manageable because you hold all the power and authority over them. You hold the reins, they don't have anything. History, it kind of fires me up. But, like, Finland probably, of the, that area of the mainland, kinda, Finland will probably get us Icelanders best. However, the ones that completely understand us way better are the Faroe Islands and Greenland. Because we have a shared history of being Danish colonies. And being micronations. Like, that's something that Denmark simply will never understand. But yeah, I was going to talk about yarn and crocheting, and instead I went on a rant about history. Well, at least I can talk about more than one thing. But yeah, I'm wondering if... I'm probably gonna sneak in a little sneak round or two. Because I'm I'm getting real close to another the add-on round, and I am so proud of the fact that I've gotten the rhythm down so well. So this is getting really easy to pick up again because now I know what I'm doing. And yeah, I definitely like this. Not just because it's going really well, although this time I'm gonna try and remember to actually link the pattern down below. I think I forgot last weekend. But yeah, I think that's enough ranting for me. I went on a historical rant. haven't done that for years. Well, at least not weeks or months. So before I start again, thank you for watching this weekend. So yeah, thank you for watching. I need to go now. And what was I gonna say? Yes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Okay, take care. Bless, bless.